Hello everyone, welcome to another Quad Education Test Prep Fundamentals video. My name is Tom, and today we're going to talk about a topic from the SAT Writing and ACT English sections that I'm going to go ahead and preface as being optional. That's because this question type only comes up once, maybe twice, in the entire test, and also it's kind of a dumb rule. Hopefully you'll see what I mean as I illustrate misplaced modifiers. Fix these. So like we said, we have while walking to school, we don't want our trucks to be walking to school. And in our second example, while waiting for breakfast, the toaster, like the toaster doesn't wait for breakfast, it makes breakfast and it can't eat. And finally, while nearly old enough to drive my dad's car. So, you can have like a 15-year-old car that's technically nearly old enough to drive, but that's not the point here. We're saying that the person who's about to turn 17 is almost old enough to drive. And that's why it's misplaced in that case as well. So how do we fix that? Well, basically, we just want to put the right thing next to the modifier. And there's really two and a half ways we can do that. The easiest one is probably just to stop these from being modifiers. This is also the thing that the test will let you do the least often. And so this is more just like for your information when you're writing and you notice this error. So you can just make this not a modifier by saying, well, I was walking to school, because while I was walking to school is a dependent clause, but it's not a modifier because there is a subject. I just put one in there. But more frequently, what you'll have to do for modifier questions is rearrange the independent clause to something more like, instead of some trucks drove past me, it would be something like I was passed by some trucks. And so that correct subject is what's next to the dependent clause. And so lastly, let's talk about how to spot these in context. So most of the time, almost all the time, the way that these will be phrased is that you'll have a sentence and it'll start with this dependent clause modifier, and then the entire independent clause will be underlined that you'll have to fix. Occasionally they'll do the entire sentence, but most of the time it will just be this independent clause underlined. And that's a little bit tricky because if you're not looking for this, since there was only like one or two of them, you'll kind of be thinking maybe this is punctuation or syntax or something like that. And you'll try to do your punctuation analysis here. You'll notice that we have a dependent clause, a comma, and then an independent clause. And you'll think to yourself, oh, that's fine. That's not breaking a rule. That's good. And you'll move on because it'll probably sound the best, not be correct, but sound the best when it's wrong. And the one that's the technically correct option will probably sound bad. And that's how you spot these, this like long underlined independent clause there. But I'd say that's enough explainer for now. Let's go ahead and take a look at some practice problems and see what these look like in context. Okay, here's some practice problems. Take a look and see what you can do. All right, let's take a look at these. So our first sentence, using sticks and leaves from the surrounding area to make dams, scientists study the fascinating habits of beavers. And so these also, I didn't mention this earlier, but these can be kind of funny because, we're saying here that it's the scientists that are picking up sticks and like making little dams for themselves, which is kind of amusing to think about and to imagine. But no, it's not the scientists that are damming. It's the beavers that are doing this. And so really the easiest way to do this is you have these leading words that can show you what the proper subject needs to be, because it can't be scientists. So we can say no and no. And we should know it should be beavers, and fascinating is almost used like a noun here. And the word fascinating isn't making dams, so we can go ahead and get rid of that and just be left with option C, beavers. Beavers are the ones that are making the dams that scientists find fascinating. Okay, then looking to our second one, and I did do one of these where it is the entire sentence that's underlined, and so it's all kind of a mess. Wishing it were drier outside, the rain seemed to be the only thing I could think about. So here we're saying that the rain wishes that it was dry. So no, not that. So we can get rid of no change. Wishing it were drier, the rain seemed to be the only thing. That's the same issue. The rain still wants it to be dry here, so we can say no to that. I was wishing it were drier. The rain was the only thing I could think about. This is a run-on sentence, so let's not do that. So for the last one here, as I wished it were drier, the rain seemed to be the only thing that I could think about. So in this instance, I've made this no longer a modifier and included a subject in here. I think the challenge here is that this still doesn't sound good. You could probably do better if you were to write the sentence yourself, but you obviously don't get to. But as I mentioned, option A is legitimately an error, and so we have to get rid of that and go with this last option. And so this is a nice little instance of a test making you choose something that sounds wrong but is correct over something that is wrong but sounds good. Okay, that's it for this video. Hopefully I've been able to illustrate why misplaced modifier questions probably aren't worth your time. There's not very many of them, and it's kind of a silly rule. This is something that you really only want to be looking at if you're totally polished on all the other question types on the test. If you found this material useful, we hope that you will like and share the video and subscribe to Quad Education. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.